The alarm screamed through the bridge of the Horizon Dawn, pulling Captain Hyundai from his morning coffee. Red lights flashed across every screen, and his crew scrambled to their stations. They had been mapping the silent expanse for 3 weeks now, finding nothing but empty space and dead stars. Nobody expected anything to be out here. That was the whole point of the place. "Captain, we're picking up a signal," said Lieutenant Park from communications. Her hands moved fast across her console. "It's a distress call, but it's old. Really old." Hyundai set his cup down and walked to her station. "How old?" "The computer can't even date it properly, sir. It's using a signal format that doesn't match anything in our database." Park looked up at him with worried eyes. It shouldn't exist. He studied the readings on her screen. The signal pulsed in a steady rhythm like a heartbeat from somewhere deep in the dark. "Where's it coming from?" "About 2 light years ahead. There's a structure there. Massive. Our sensors almost missed it because it's so cold, but it's definitely artificial." Hyundai felt his pulse quicken. 300 years of human space exploration, and they had never found anything like this. Sure, they had met other species, joined the Galactic Council, learned they were one of the youngest civilizations out here. But ancient ruins? Those belonged to species that came before, not to anyone humanity knew. "Wake everyone up," he said, "and get Dr. Yun to the bridge. She's going to want to see this." 2 hours later, the Horizon Dawn approached the structure. Through the main view screen, it looked like a dark mountain floating in space. The thing was enormous, easily 20 kilometers across, covered in patterns that seemed to shift when you looked at them directly. Dr. Sora Yun stood next to Hyundai, her tablet forgotten in her hands as she stared. "This is impossible," she whispered. "The metal composition, the energy signature. Captain, this structure is at least 12 million years old." 12 million? Hyundai turned to her. "That predates every known civilization in the galaxy." "I know." Sora's voice shook with excitement. "This is a progenitor site." "It has to be." "The species that came before everyone else. The ones who supposedly seeded life across the galaxy and then vanished. Nobody's ever found proof they existed, until now." Ambassador Velthar moved closer to the view screen. The tall, crystalline being had been observing their mission for the Galactic Council, quiet and polite as always. But now his usual calm seemed shaken. His translucent face reflected the structure's dark surface. "The sleeping gods," Velthar said softly. "My people have legends. Stories passed down for 100,000 years about beings who walked between stars before time had meaning. We always thought they were just myths." "Well, myths don't show up on sensors," said Commander Ari Kwan. She stood at tactical, her sharp eyes tracking every reading. "Whatever this is, it's real. And it's still active. That distress signal didn't send itself." Hyundai made his decision. "Prepare a landing team. Dr. Yun, Commander Kwan, pick your people. We're going inside." The structure's entrance opened for them without any prompting, massive doors sliding apart as their shuttle approached. Inside, lights flickered to life along endless corridors, responding to their presence like the building had been waiting for them. The air was breathable, the gravity comfortable. Someone had built this place for beings like humans. Dr. Taemin Jin walked beside Sora, his scanner working constantly. The young biologist looked confused. "These readings don't make sense. The life support systems, the lighting, even the door controls, they're all designed for human parameters. Our height, our atmosphere, our color perception." "That's not possible," Sora said. "Humans have only been in space for 300 years. This place is millions of years old." "I'm just telling you what the scanner says." They moved deeper into the structure. The walls were covered in symbols that hurt to look at, geometric patterns that seemed to contain more meaning than shapes should hold. But what stopped them all was the chamber at the heart of the building. It was a vast circular room with a ceiling that vanished into darkness above. In the center stood dozens of clear cylinders, each one containing a body suspended in some kind of stasis field. The bodies looked human. Completely, perfectly human. "This can't be right," Hyundai said. He approached the nearest cylinder slowly, like it might vanish if he moved too fast. Inside floated a woman, eyes closed, dark hair drifting around her face. She could have been sleeping. She could have been from Earth. Taemin's hand shook as he ran his scanner over the cylinder. "Captain, I'm detecting DNA. I'm comparing it to my own genetic profile." He waited, then his face went white. "It's a 99.7% match. To all of us. These are humans. Genetically, they're identical to us." "That's impossible." Commander Kwan said, but her voice lacked conviction. Isn't it? Sora moved between the cylinders, her scientific mind racing. The preservation technology alone is beyond anything we have. Beyond anything any species in the galaxy has. These people have been here for millions of years, and they're still viable. Still alive maybe, just sleeping. Ambassador Velthar stood very still. His crystalline body seemed dimmer than usual. The legends, he said. The sleeping gods. They were said to look like many different species, to wear different faces depending on who saw them. What if the base form was human? What if humans are the progenitors? That's crazy, Hyundai said. But even as he spoke, he felt doubt creeping in. Everything here felt familiar in a way he couldn't explain. The proportions of the doors, the height of the ceilings, the way the lights cast shadows. It all felt right, like coming home to a house he'd never seen before. A sound made them all turn. One of the cylinders was opening, its surface becoming transparent and then dissolving like smoke. The body inside opened its eyes. They were bright and aware and looking right at Hyundai, but the person didn't step out. Instead, their form flickered and became something else. A hologram, an echo, a recording left behind by whoever had built this place. The image spoke, and though the language was nothing Hyundai had ever heard, he understood every word. They all did. If you are seeing this, then you are human, and if you are human, then the time has come. We are your ancestors. This galaxy, every intelligent species in it was seeded by us 12 million years ago. We were the first. We were the primordial ones. The hologram's face was kind but sad. We made a terrible mistake. In our search for power, we created something we could not control. We called it the Null, and it nearly destroyed everything. To save the galaxy, we had to make a choice. We changed ourselves, locked away our memories and our abilities in our own genetics. We became primitive again. We scattered ourselves across a single world and slept, waiting. Waiting for what? Sora whispered. The hologram seemed to hear her. Waiting for the Null to return. It comes every 50 million years, drawn by advanced civilizations like a moth to flame. Last time we barely stopped it. This time you must finish what we started. Your DNA contains everything you need. The lock is opening. Soon you will remember what we were, what you can become. The image flickered. We are sorry for the burden we place on you. But we believed in you. We believed that given time, given freedom to grow and change, humanity would become something better than we ever were. The galaxy will need you. They will not believe you at first. They will fear you. But you must unite them. The Null is coming home. The hologram faded and the chamber fell silent. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Taemin's scanner started beeping frantically. He looked at it, then at his hands, then at the scanner again. My DNA, he said quietly. It's changing. Right now as we stand here, sequences that were dormant are activating. I can feel it. He looked up at Hyundai with wide eyes. Whatever they did to themselves, whatever they locked away, it's waking up. In all of us. Commander Kwan flexed her fingers. I feel it too. Like something inside me is stretching after a very long sleep. Captain, what do we do? Hyundai looked at each of them, then at Ambassador Velthar. The alien's crystalline form was shaking slightly. Ambassador, I know this is difficult to hear, but my species, Velthar interrupted. The Veltharian people have existed for 80,000 years. We were the first to achieve space travel in this region of the galaxy. We thought we were the eldest children of the stars. He turned to face Hyundai. Are you saying we are humanity's creation? That everything we are, everything we've achieved, was designed by your ancestors? I don't know, Hyundai said honestly. I don't know what any of this means, but we need to find out. And we need to warn the galaxy. If what that hologram said is true, if this Null thing is really coming, they won't believe us, Kwan said. We're humans. We're the young species, the newcomers who barely earned their council seat. Now we're supposed to tell them we're actually the ancient progenitors. They'll think we're trying to trick them. Sora was still staring at the cylinders, her mind clearly racing. We need to document everything. Every symbol, every piece of technology, every genetic reading. We need proof that even the council can't deny. Hyundai nodded. Get started. And someone send a message to Earth. They need to know what we've found. He paused. And what we might be about to become. As his crew scattered to begin their work, Hyundai stood alone in the chamber of sleeping ancients. The news traveled faster than Hyundai expected. 3 days after leaving the ancient structure, every major news network across the galaxy was broadcasting the story. Humanity claims to be the progenitors. Youngest species declares itself the eldest. Human hoax or cosmic truth? On the bridge of the Horizon Dawn, Hyundai watched the reports with growing frustration. They had sent detailed scans, genetic data, recordings of the hologram. They had sent everything, and the galaxy's response was mockery. The Galactic Council has issued a formal statement, Lieutenant Park said from her station. She looked uncomfortable. They're calling our discovery inconclusive. They want all human vessels to return to Sol system immediately for evaluation. Evaluation, Commander Kwan said flatly. That's a polite word for interrogation. Sora entered the bridge, her tablet clutched to her chest. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Captain, we need to talk privately. They went to his ready room and Sora immediately pulled up a holographic display. DNA sequences spiraled in the air between them, complex and beautiful and completely unnatural. I've been analyzing the genetic data from the stasis chambers, she said, and comparing it to our own DNA. Every human on this ship. Every human back on Earth. She highlighted sections of the code. We all have dormant sequences. Junk DNA, we've always called it. Genetic code that doesn't seem to do anything. Except it's not junk. It's locked. Deliberately locked. Hyundai studied the display. Locked how? Like a puzzle box. A very specific set of conditions needs to happen to open it. Being in proximity to that ancient structure was one trigger, but there are others encoded into the lock itself. Time, population, technological development. Sora met his eyes. Captain, humanity was designed to wake up at a specific moment in history. That moment is now. You're saying we're living weapons? Built by our ancestors to fight this null thing? Not weapons. More like seeds. We were meant to grow into something specific, and it's starting. She pulled up another display, this one showing current genetic readings from the crew. Taemin isn't the only one changing. We all are. Some faster than others, but it's happening to everyone. Before Hyundai could respond, the ship's alarms blared again. They rushed back to the bridge to find chaos. On the main view screen, a fleet of warships hung in space, blocking their path. Dozens of them from multiple species, all with weapons charged. They're hailing us, Park said. The view screen changed to show High Archon Kesrun, leader of the Kestar Empire. His species had ruled the galactic military for 50,000 years, and his face showed nothing but contempt. Human vessel Horizon Dawn, this is your final warning. You will shut down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Your claims of progenitor heritage are rejected by the Council. You will surrender all data and submit to inspection. Hyundai kept his voice calm. High Archon, with respect, we're not making claims. We're reporting facts. The structure we found is an elaborate hoax, Kesarun interrupted. Or perhaps ancient humans did exist and modern humans are simply primitives squatting in their ruins. Either way, you do not get to claim superiority over species that have ruled stars since before your world had cities. We're not claiming superiority. We're trying to warn you about the null. Yes, we've heard your fairy tale. An ancient cosmic threat that conveniently only you can fight. How very dramatic. Kesrun leaned forward. Here is what I believe, human. I believe you found something you don't understand, and decided to use it for political advantage. The Council agrees. You will comply or we will treat you as hostile. The connection cut. Hyundai turned to Commander Kwan. Can we outrun them? Not with that many ships. Captain, we're boxed in. Sora grabbed Hyundai's arm. The changes. They're accelerating. I think being confronted, being threatened, it's triggering something in our genetics. Fight or flight response, but on a much deeper level. As if to prove her point, Taemin stumbled onto the bridge, supported by 2 crew members. His eyes were different, brighter somehow, like they were catching light that wasn't there. Captain, he gasped. I can hear them. The fleet. Not their communications. Their thoughts, emotions. The High Archon is afraid. Terrified, actually. That's why he's being so aggressive. Everyone stared at him. You can read minds? Kwan asked. No, yes, I don't know. It's not like hearing words. It's like feeling what they feel. And there's more. He held up his hand and the air around it shimmered. Objects on nearby consoles began to float. I can touch things without touching them. Move them. The knowledge is just there like I've always known how, but forgot until now. The bridge fell silent. Then more crew members began reporting similar experiences. Enhanced senses. Intuitive understanding of complex systems. One engineer claimed she had just solved a propulsion problem that had stumped humanity for decades, and she couldn't explain how she knew the answer. Ambassador Veltar, who had been silent throughout, finally spoke. It's happening faster than the hologram suggested. The awakening. Your species is changing before my eyes. Ambassador, Hyundai said carefully. You've been very quiet. What do you think about all this? The crystalline being seemed to dim. I have been communing with my people's genetic archives. Records stored in our very cells, passed down through generations. Captain, what Dr. Yun discovered about human DNA? We have the same lux. Different codes, different triggers, but the same fundamental structure. As if you were designed, Sora finished quietly. Like everything else, you carry human genetic engineering in your very cells. You're not just contemporaries of ancient humanity, you're their children. Belthar's entire body shuddered. For 80,000 years, my people have prided ourselves on our independence, our self-made civilization. To learn that we are essentially an experiment. Not an experiment, Sora said quickly. The hologram said they seeded diverse life, hoping different evolutionary paths would find unique solutions. They didn't create slaves or tools. They created children and gave them freedom to grow. Another alarm. This time the sensors were showing something else. Commander Kwan's face went pale. Captain, I'm picking up spatial distortions at the edge of the sector. Massive ones. Multiple star systems just went dark. Define dark, Hyundai said. They're gone, completely. No stars, no planets, no emissions of any kind, just nothing, like they were erased. Sora pulled up the sensor data and her blood ran cold. The null. It's here. The hologram said it comes every 50 million years. We thought we had time to prepare to convince the Council. But it's already here. On the view screen, the Kestar fleet was breaking formation, their sensors clearly picking up the same distortions. High Archon Kessaran appeared again, and this time his arrogance was gone, replaced by naked fear. Human ship, what is happening? Our long-range sensors are showing impossible readings. Entire sectors are simply ceasing to exist. That's the null, High Archon, Hyundai said. The threat we tried to warn you about. It feeds on advanced civilizations. The more technology you throw at it, the stronger it becomes. That's impossible. Nothing can simply erase matter like that. Tell that to the 200 star systems that just vanished. Hyundai took a breath. High Archon, we need to get this information to the Council immediately. Both our fleets should. The sensors screamed. One of the Kestar dreadnoughts simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. No explosion, no debris, just gone. Then another, and another. The null had found them. Commander Kwan's hands moved frantically across her console. Captain, whatever it is, it's moving through space, but not through normal space. It's like it exists between dimensions. Our weapons won't even register it as a target. Taemin clutched his head. I can feel it. It's not alive, but it's not dead. It's hungry, so hungry. And it recognizes us. It recognizes humans. He looked up with terrified eyes. It's been looking for us. For millions of years. We're what it wants. Why us? Kwan demanded. Sora was frantically scrolling through the data they'd recovered from the structure. Because we're connected to it somehow. The ancient humans created it by accident, the hologram said. What if the null is part of humanity? Something we rejected or lost that became its own entity? Another dreadnought vanished. The fleet was in chaos now. Ships fleeing in all directions. High Archon Kessaran was shouting orders, demanding his forces engage the enemy, but there was nothing to engage. The null was everywhere and nowhere. Hyundai made a decision. Commander Kwan, get us out of here. Maximum speed back to Sol System. What about the fleet? They can follow or not. Right now we need to get this information back to Earth. The human population needs to know what's coming, what they're becoming. As the horizon dawn broke from the fleet and jumped to faster than light speed, Hyundai watched the battle, if it could be called that, unfold behind them. Ships vanished one by one, consumed by something that shouldn't exist. Beside him, Velthar spoke quietly. The galaxy will never believe you now. They'll think this is somehow humanity's fault, that you brought this destruction. Maybe we did, Hyundai said. Our ancestors created it. That makes it our responsibility to stop it. How do you stop something that erases matter itself? Sora looked up from her work. The hologram said we have everything we need in our DNA. Earth orbit looked like a war zone. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species filled the space around humanity's homeworld, and none of them were friendly. The Galactic Council had made their position clear: contain humanity by force. Captain Hyundai stood on the bridge of the Horizon Dawn, now docked at Earth Station, and watched the fleet gather. High Archon Kesseron had survived the Null attack barely, and now he was leading this coalition with a fury that bordered on madness. "They're demanding we surrender," Commander Quan said. "Full disclosure of all progenitor technology, access to every human on the planet, and immediate submission to Council authority." "We don't have progenitor technology," Sora said tiredly. She'd been working non-stop since they arrived, trying to understand the genetic changes happening to humanity. "We are the technology. How do we explain that?" A transmission came through. High Archon Kesseron appeared on the screen and he looked haunted. Half his fleet was gone, consumed by the Null, but his pride remained intact. "Captain Hyundai, you will order Earth to surrender within the hour, or I will begin orbital bombardment. My patience is exhausted." "High Archon, you saw what the Null can do. Fighting among ourselves is exactly what it wants. We need to work together." "Work together?" Kesseron's voice rose. "You claim your ancestors created that thing. You claim they seeded all life in the galaxy, making us nothing but your experiments. Do you understand what you're asking us to accept? That the Kestar Empire, 50,000 years of history and achievement, is nothing but a human science project? That's not what we're saying. Yes, ancient humans may have engineered the base genetics, but you evolved independently. Your culture, your accomplishments, those are yours. Lies built on a foundation of human manipulation." Kesseron leaned forward. "Here is the truth, Captain. If humans really are the progenitors, then you are responsible for the Null. It is your mistake, your failure. Why should the galaxy die for humanity's sins?" The transmission cut off. Hyundai turned to his crew. "Options? We can't fight that many ships," Quan said. "Even if we wanted to." Tae Min, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. His eyes still had that strange brightness. "We don't need to fight them. Captain, the changes are happening everywhere. Every human on Earth is awakening. Some faster than others, but it's spreading. I can feel them, millions of minds beginning to touch something larger than themselves." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we're becoming what the ancients were. And they were powerful enough to fight the Null." Tae Min hesitated. "Commander Quan and I have been comparing notes. We're both experiencing similar abilities, enhanced strength, speed, mental processing. But there's something else, something bigger." Commander Quan nodded. "I can feel it too. Like there's a weapon inside me just waiting to be used. Not a physical weapon. Something in my mind. In my genes." Sora pulled up new data on her display. "I think I know what you're feeling. I've been analyzing the genetic sequences that are unlocking. They're not random. They're following a pattern, like a code being read in sequence. And one of the largest locked sections is connected to what I can only describe as psionic ability." "Psionic?" Hyundai raised an eyebrow. "Mind powers? That's not real. It is for ancient humans, apparently, and it's becoming real for us." She showed him brain scans from volunteers across Earth. Sections of the human brain that were dormant are activating. We're developing entirely new neural structures. "Captain, in another few days, the average human is going to be capable of things that seem impossible by current understanding." An alarm interrupted them. This time it wasn't the fleet. It was the Null. Long-range sensors showed it had moved 3 sectors closer to Sol system. At its current pace, it would reach Earth in less than 2 weeks, and everywhere it passed, star systems simply ceased to exist. Ambassador Velthar entered the bridge, moving slowly. The crystalline being looked dimmer than ever. "Captain, I bring news from the Council. They have voted. Humanity is to be contained immediately, by force if necessary. They believe that if they eliminate humanity, the Null will have no reason to continue its attack." "That's insane," Quan said. "The Null is consuming everything, not just looking for humans." "Fear makes people think in simple terms," Velthar replied. "They want a target, and humanity is convenient. The progenitors who caused this mess." He paused. "For what it matters, I voted against the measure, as did 12 other species. But we are the minority." Hyundai felt the weight of command pressing down on him. "How long do we have?" "The fleet will attack in 6 hours. High Archon Kesseron convinced them that a quick strike is necessary, before humanity becomes too powerful to stop." "He might have a point," Timon said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. "I'm serious. Captain, if what I'm feeling is real, if all of humanity is awakening to psionic abilities, we could defend Earth, easily. But it would mean using those powers against other species. against people who are terrified and confused. Is that really who we want to be? The question hung in the air. Before anyone could answer, every screen on the bridge flickered. Then they all showed the same thing, a live feed from Earth's surface. A woman stood in what looked like downtown Seoul, surrounded by reporters and cameras. She was young, maybe 30, and she was floating 3 meters off the ground. Around her, objects moved through the air, not thrown but guided, dancing in patterns that defied gravity. "My name is Dr. Lee Hana," the woman said calmly. "I'm a high school teacher. Or I was until yesterday when I woke up and could do this." She gestured and a car gently lifted off the street. "I'm not special. This is happening to humans everywhere. We're changing. Our genetics are unlocking abilities our ancestors had millions of years ago." The crowd below was a mix of terrified and amazed. Hana continued, "I know the galaxy is afraid of us. I know they see us as a threat. But I want to be very clear about something." She looked directly at the camera. "We did not ask for this. We did not choose to be the descendants of the progenitors. But we will not apologize for what we are. And we will not let fear drive us to violence." She lowered herself to the ground and the car settled gently back in place. "To the Galactic Council, to High Archon Kesrun, to everyone watching. We are willing to share what we know. We are willing to work together. But if you attack Earth, if you try to destroy us for crimes we didn't commit, you will learn exactly why ancient humanity was feared across the stars." The broadcast cut out. Hyundai looked at his crew. "Did we know about this?" "No, sir," Quan said. "But she's not alone. Reports are coming in from every major city. Humans publicly demonstrating abilities. It's like they're showing the galaxy what we're capable of. Or warning them," Sora added. The fleet responded immediately. High Archon Kesrun appeared on every frequency, his voice shaking with rage. "This is exactly what we feared. Humanity is revealing its true nature. They are a threat to all galactic peace. All ships advance on Earth. Authorization to use lethal force is granted." The Coalition fleet began moving. Hundreds of warships carrying enough firepower to glass a planet, all converging on Earth. On the bridge, Commander Quan suddenly straightened. Her eyes had the same brightness as Tae Min's now. "Captain, I need permission to try something." "What?" "I can feel them. The fleet. Not their thoughts, but their systems. Computers, weapons, engines. It's like they're shouting at me and I'm starting to understand the language." She looked at him. "I think I can disable their weapons. Not destroy them. Just make them stop working. But I've never done anything like this before. How is that even possible?" Sora pulled up more genetic data. "Psionics isn't just about moving objects or reading minds. Ancient humans could interface with technology directly, using their consciousness to manipulate electromagnetic fields, quantum states, even basic programming code. Commander Quan's genetics are unlocking that ability." Hyundai made his decision. "Do it, but Quan, I need you to be very careful. Disable their weapons, but don't hurt anyone. We're not the monsters they think we are." Quan closed her eyes. The bridge fell silent. For a moment, nothing happened. Then across the fleet, weapon systems began shutting down. Not just a few ships, all of them. Hundreds of vessels simultaneously losing the ability to fire. The Coalition panicked. Ships tried to reactivate weapons, but the systems wouldn't respond. Engineers reported impossible failures. Computers claimed the weapons weren't even installed. Targeting systems forgot how to lock onto anything. Commander Quan opened her eyes. Sweat poured down her face. It worked. Every major weapon system in the fleet is offline. They can still move, still shield, but they can't hurt us. High Archon Kesrun's face appeared again, and now pure terror replaced his rage. "What have you done? This is an act of war." "No," Hyundai said calmly. "This is an act of mercy. You came here to destroy us, High Archon. We simply chose not to let you. Your crews are safe, your ships are intact. But you cannot hurt Earth. This is exactly what we feared. Humans controlling our technology, invading our systems. We're protecting ourselves. That's all." Velthar stepped forward. "High Archon, please listen. I have been studying the genetic data. Every species in the galaxy carries markers of ancient human engineering, not just similar structures. The null consumed another sector, and 300 billion lives simply stopped existing. The galaxy watched in real time as entire civilizations vanished into nothing. Fear finally became stronger than pride. High Archon Kesrun stood in the Galactic Council chamber, his confidence broken. Around him, Representatives from every major species argued desperately. Some still wanted to blame humanity. Others wanted to flee to dark space and hope the null wouldn't follow. A few suggested surrendering to it as if negotiation were possible. "We should have listened," Kesrun said quietly, cutting through the noise. The chamber fell silent. "The humans tried to warn us. We called them liars, primitives, pretenders, and now we are all going to die for our arrogance." Ambassador Velthar moved forward, his crystalline body catching the chamber's light. "It is not too late. The humans have proposed a solution. A dangerous one, but it may be our only chance. The psionic network," said Counselor Resh of the Mindari, "linking our consciousness together through human genetic architecture. Many species find this concept disturbing. To open our minds to others, especially to humans. I find death more disturbing," Velthar replied. "I have reviewed Dr. Yun's proposal. The network would be temporary, voluntary, and designed for communication, not control. Each species maintains their autonomy while sharing a common awareness. And if it fails? If humans use this network to enslave us, then we die enslaved instead of just dead." Velthar's voice was sharp. "At least we will have tried. The alternative is to sit here debating while the null erases everything we have ever built." Kesrun slammed his hand on the council table. "I will do it. The Kessitar Empire will join this network, not because I trust humans, but because I refuse to let my species vanish without fighting back." One by one, other species agreed, some readily, understanding they had no choice, others reluctantly, still angry about humanity's revealed origins. But they all agreed. The alternative was extinction. Back on Earth, Dr. Sora Yun worked frantically in a converted laboratory. Around her, dozens of the world's best scientists tried to understand their own awakening genetics well enough to weaponize it. Not weapons in the traditional sense, something stranger. Dr. Taemin Jin approached her with new data. His enhanced mind was processing information at speeds that seemed impossible. "I've cracked part of the code. The psionic ability isn't just in our brains. It's distributed throughout our entire genetic structure. Every cell contains a fragment of the whole pattern. That's why ancient humans could create a network. They were already interconnected at the cellular level. Can we replicate it in other species?" Sora asked. "We don't need to. They already have it. When ancient humans seeded the galaxy, they built the foundation into everything. The capacity for psionic connection is latent in all intelligent life. We just need to activate it." "With what?" Taemin smiled. "With us. Awakened humans can act as bridges. We're already activating. We just need to extend that activation signal to other species. Like lighting candles from a single flame." Sora understood immediately. "A virus. Not a harmful one. A genetic messenger that carries the activation code." "Exactly. It would trigger the same awakening in other species that we're experiencing. Not to the same degree humans have the full code, but enough to join the network. Enough to help us communicate with the null." "And you're sure it's safe?" Taemin hesitated. "I'm sure it won't harm them physically. Mentally, psychologically. Connecting billions of minds together, I have no idea what that will do to any of us." Commander Ari Kwan entered the lab moving with inhuman grace. Her awakening was progressing faster than anyone else's. Her military training somehow accelerating the process. "Dr. Yun, we have a volunteer for the first bridge attempt. Ambassador Velthar wants to try linking with a human consciousness." "Is he sure?" "We haven't tested this on anyone yet. He says his species has always valued truth over comfort, and he wants to understand what humans really are, without language or culture getting in the way. Direct mind-to-mind contact." Sora looked at Taemin. "Can you do it?" "I think so. My abilities are developing rapidly. I can already sense other humans nearby, feel their emotions and thoughts at the surface level. Extending that to a different species." He straightened his shoulders. "Let's try." They gathered in a quiet room. Ambassador Velthar sat across from Taemin, his crystalline form pulsing with soft light. "I am ready, Dr. Jin. Show me the truth of humanity." Taemin reached out not with his hands but with his mind. It felt like touching water, finding the surface of Velthar's consciousness and gently pressing through. The ambassador's mind was vast and ancient, filled with 80,000 years of Veltharian history and culture. But underneath, Taemin felt the foundation. Genetic code that matched the patterns in human DNA. The bridge his ancestors had built. He activated it. Velthar gasped. His body flared with brilliant light. For a moment, his mind and Taemin's were one consciousness, experiencing both perspectives simultaneously. Velthar felt what it meant to be human. The passionate emotions, the adaptable thinking, the constant drive to grow and change. And Taemin felt what it meant to be Veltharian. The patient wisdom, the crystalline clarity of thought, the deep connection to light and energy. More importantly, they both felt the genetic memory buried in Velthar's code. Ancient humans hadn't just engineered the Veltharians. They had loved them. The progenitors had created each species as an expression of hope, a different solution to the problems that plagued the universe. The Veltharians were designed to be wise, patient, and understanding. They were meant to be teachers and philosophers, helping the galaxy find peace. The connection broke and both beings gasped for air. Velthar's body dimmed, then brightened again, stronger than before. "I understand now," he said softly. "We are not failed experiments or enslaved children. We are treasured hopes given freedom to grow into our own purpose. The ancient humans loved us enough to let us be ourselves. Sora had been recording everything. Your genetic markers are active now, Ambassador. You're part of the network. How do you feel?" "Different. More aware. I can sense the humans in this building, feel the edges of their thoughts." Velthar stood. "We must do this for everyone. Every species in the Council, every being that volunteers. Only together can we face the null." The process took 3 days. Scientists created a genetic activator based on Taemin's bridging technique, a harmless viral vector that would spread rapidly through populations. It was released simultaneously on every Council world, carried by volunteers who understood the risks. The awakening spread like fire across the galaxy. Not as dramatic as humanity's transformation, other species had less progenitor code to unlock, but enough. Enough to feel each other across the stars, to sense the growing network of consciousness that spanned hundreds of worlds. High Archon Kesrun was among those who accepted the activator. His rigid military mind resisted at first, then slowly opened. Through the network, he felt what Commander Quan had felt when she disabled his fleet. No malice, no desire for dominance. Only the desperate need to protect. Only the human drive to save everyone, even those who hated them. His shame was overwhelming. Through the network, everyone felt it, and humanity's collective response was forgiveness. "This is what the ancients wanted," Sora explained to the assembled council, now meeting through the psionic network as well as physical space. Not for humans to rule, but for all species to truly understand each other. To see past language and culture to the core of what we are. "But why hide it?" asked Counselor Resh, her Mindari consciousness easily adapting to the network. "Why lock themselves away and let us develop ignorantly?" "Because conscious design breeds resentment," Velthar answered. He understood now, felt it in his activated genetic memories. If we had known from the start that humans made us, we would have been forever trying to prove we were more than their creations. We needed to be free to become ourselves without that burden. The network pulsed with agreement from thousands of species. Then someone, nobody was sure who, felt the null approaching. It was 3 sectors away now, and it had grown massive, a hole in space itself, consuming everything in its path. Through the network, they all felt its hunger, and something else. Loneliness. The null was desperately, achingly alone. Commander Quan, who had become one of the primary anchors of the network due to her rapid development, reached out with her enhanced senses. "I can touch it. Not much, just the edge of its consciousness. It's trying to communicate, but it doesn't understand language anymore. It only understands consumption. Because that's all it's known for millions of years," Sora said. The hologram said ancient humans created it by accident. What if they reached too far? Tried to transcend biology entirely and part of their consciousness split off? The part that wanted pure energy existence? Taemin felt the truth of it through his genetic memories. That's exactly what happened. Ancient humanity achieved a choice point. Remain biological or transcend to pure energy. They chose biology, chose connection and emotion and physical form. The part of their collective consciousness that disagreed split away. It became the null. "So it's trying to come home," Hyundai said, following the conversation through the network from the horizon dawn. The null arrived at the edge of Sol system like a wound in reality. It was massive now, having consumed enough civilizations to dwarf the largest stars. Through the psionic network, every conscious being in the galaxy could feel it. Raw hunger, ancient pain, and beneath everything, a loneliness that had lasted for millions of years. Captain Hyundai stood on the bridge of the Horizon Dawn, his consciousness split between his physical body and the vast network connecting billions of minds. Beside him, Commander Kwan and Dr. Sora Yun anchored portions of the network, their awakened genetics allowing them to hold more connections than others could manage. "It's not attacking yet," Sora observed. "It's waiting, like it recognizes something." Through the network, Ambassador Velthar's thoughts reached them from his ship. "It recognizes Earth, the genetic signature. This was humanity's homeworld millions of years ago, just as it is now. The Null remembers." Dr. Taemin Jin, connected from the surface, added his insight. His enhanced mind was processing the Null's energy signature. "It's not just recognition, it's fear." "The Null is afraid to come closer. Afraid of what?" High Archon Kesron asked. His consciousness was strong in the network now, his pride transformed into determination. "It has consumed thousands of worlds. What could frighten it?" "Rejection," Commander Kwan said softly. "It's afraid we'll reject it again, like ancient humanity did when they chose biology over energy transcendence. The Null is the abandoned child coming home, terrified that home doesn't want it anymore." The insight rippled through the network. Billions of minds understood simultaneously. The Null wasn't a monster or a weapon. It was a lonely fragment of consciousness that had spent millions of years searching for belonging, expressing that search through the only language it remembered: consumption. Sora made a decision. "We need to show it that it's welcome, that we understand what it is and we don't reject it." "How?" Hyundai asked. "By offering what it truly wants. Not destruction, integration." She reached out through the network, using Commander Kwan as an amplifier and Taemin as a translator. The collective consciousness of the galaxy focused into a single point of intention and pressed against the Null's awareness. Not attacking, inviting, the Null recoiled. Its hunger surged, defensive, ready to consume the threat. But the network didn't pull back. Instead, billions of minds opened themselves, showing the Null what they were, showing it the truth. Through the psionic connection, the Null saw the galaxy as it had never seen before, not as prey or resources, but as consciousness, as life, as the biological existence it had abandoned and spent eons trying to find again. More importantly, it saw humanity, saw that ancient humans hadn't vanished into extinction. They had transformed, seeding themselves across the stars in countless forms. Every species in the galaxy carried fragments of human genetics, expressions of different evolutionary paths. The ancient humans hadn't died. They had diversified beyond anything the Null could have imagined. The Null's hunger shifted to something else. Curiosity. Hope. A question that wasn't in words but in pure meaning. "Can I come home?" Taemin felt the question first, his enhanced mind translating the Null's energy patterns into concepts others could understand. "It wants to know if there's still a place for it. If biology and energy can coexist." "Tell it yes," Velthar said immediately. "My species has always believed in the unity of all existence. If the Null represents pure energy consciousness and we represent biological diversity, then together we become complete." Through the network, Sora showed the Null her research, her understanding of genetics and evolution. She showed it how every species carried the capacity for both physical and energy existence, dormant in their code. The ancient humans had designed it that way, hoping that one day their biological children and their energetic child could reunite. They knew, Sora said with wonder. Ancient humanity knew the Null would come back. That's why they left the genetic locks. Not just to fight it, but to show it a path home. They wanted us to invite it back, to integrate it with biological life. The Null moved closer to Earth, its massive form still tearing at the fabric of space, but more carefully now, trying not to destroy. Through the network, it communicated in bursts of pure emotion, longing, regret, hope. Commander Kwan felt the Null's intention and gasped. It wants to show us something. A memory from before the split. The network suddenly filled with images, memories from 12 million years ago. They saw ancient humanity at its peak. A civilization that spanned galaxies, beings who could manipulate matter and energy with thought alone. They were powerful beyond current comprehension, but they were also troubled. They had achieved everything material. Every problem of resources, health, mortality had been solved. The only frontier left was consciousness itself, Some ancient humans believed they should transcend physical form entirely, become beings of pure thought and energy. Others believed that biology, emotion, and physical connection were essential to who they were. The debate became a crisis. The civilization split. Those who wanted transcendence tried to force the issue, beginning a transformation that would convert all ancient humans to energy beings. Those who wanted to remain biological fought back. The conflict nearly destroyed the galaxy. Finally, a compromise was reached. The Transcendence faction would split away, become what they wanted to be. The biological faction would remain. Both would have their choice respected. But something went wrong. The separation was too complete, too absolute. The energy consciousness lost its connection to emotion, to purpose, to understanding. It became the null. Pure hunger without context, searching endlessly for what it had lost. The biological humans, horrified by what they had created, made their choice. They would lock themselves away, reduce their civilization to dormancy, and seed the galaxy with diverse life. They hoped that given millions of years, the galaxy would evolve species capable of bridging the gap between biology and energy, species that could heal the split they had caused. "We are that bridge," Hyundai said, understanding flooding through him. "Every species in this network. We're the answer to a 12-million-year-old problem." "Then let's solve it," Kesserun said.
Null, we welcome you home.
Not as conquerors or conquered, but as equals, as the missing piece of what we all are. The network reached out as one, billions of consciousnesses offering connection, not consumption but true integration. They showed the null how it could exist alongside biology, how energy and matter could intertwine without destroying each other. They showed it the future ancient humanity had dreamed of, a galaxy where all forms of existence were valued and connected. The null hesitated. Then slowly it began to change. The tearing wound in space began to heal. The massive destructive force started to transform into something else. Energy that didn't consume but connected. Consciousness that didn't erase but enhanced. The null reached back through the network, and this time, it didn't try to take. It gave. It shared its perspective, its experience of existing as pure thought and energy. The network suddenly expanded in dimensions that physical beings had never imagined. Every connected consciousness gained the ability to extend beyond their bodies, to experience existence on multiple levels simultaneously. Sora felt herself expand. Her physical body remained in the lab on Earth, but her consciousness could now reach into energy states, touch electromagnetic fields, sense quantum fluctuations. She was still herself, still biological, but also more. The null's gift was awareness of existence beyond matter. Commander Quan laughed with joy as she felt her consciousness spread across the network. She could be in her body on the Horizon Dawn, and simultaneously exist as patterns of thought in the psionic field connecting the galaxy, physical and energetic at once, just as ancient humanity had always hoped for. Species across the galaxy experienced the same transformation. The Veltharians, already attuned to light and energy, found their consciousness could now travel through photonic networks, existing as beings of crystalline biology and pure light simultaneously. The Kessitar discovered they could maintain their physical forms while extending their awareness across their entire empire, instantaneously. Every species gained something unique, suited to their nature. The null was no longer separate. It had become part of the galactic consciousness, a layer of existence that all beings could access. Not an entity trying to return home, but home itself, finally recognized and integrated. Through the network, Taimin felt the ancient human consciousness within the null, finally at peace. "They've been waiting," he said softly. "The ancient ones who chose transcendence. They've been trapped in the null's hunger, unable to communicate, unable to help. Now they're free. They're thanking us." "For what?" Hyundai asked. "For finishing what they started. For proving that biology and energy don't have to be enemies. For showing that love and consciousness can exist in any form." High Archon Kesrun, his mind now capable of existing in both physical and energetic states, approached Earth's orbit. His fleet, no longer a threat but an honor guard, moved with him. Through the network, he reached out to Hyundai. "Captain, I came here to destroy your world. I called your people pretenders and liars. I refused to believe that the Kessistar Empire was anything but supreme." His consciousness pulsed with humility.